That's the beat. Like,
That was it.
I felt that.
Cause I'm on wipe me down. Cause I'm on. See, and you not following me up.
Oh, I didn't know we was
Singing the
recording.
song. I pressed it.
My bad. Sing it again.
No, now you have to start the song. Now you have to sing "Wipe Me Down" for Kai, cause she's here.
That's for Kappas.
You have to sing it though. Oh, he's got the little foot tap.
Cause I'm
Okay.
on wipe me down. Cause I'm on wipe me down.
There you go. You supposed to have my follow up. I'm over here singing it. You paid attention to Jordan. You got the wrong person. Oh shit. Okay, y'all. Hi, we back.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. He sung it now.
No, but I did my part. Now we need to hear from you.
Shoulders, chest,
Yes.
pants, and shoes. That's the only part that really matters at the end of the day. Oh my God. There's like what's in there? He keeps talking about how he ain't got no money in the bank, but all the drinks are on him. And I'm just like, your priorities is real fucked up. Like, it's lit because it sounds fun, but at the same time, you really should put
Oh, is
like,
that gas tank
on
on
Eva,
Eva, all drinks on me, wipe me down.
And everybody's so excited
Yeah.
because we're all poor, but that's not like a good thing at all.
You can't forget the tall tea part because he also mentioned the tall tea.
Fresh, white, tall tee, fresh, NFL hat, fresh, straight, please wipe me down.
I over here got all the lyrics. I only got the real lit parts where the like ad lib comes in, like in the back. So he's like, wipe me down, wipe me down. That's me. Oh my goodness. All right, so we're back. 2 weeks ago we had a guest, and that was our first guest, and that was Morel. So now we are back, and now we got 2 guests. Next time we're gonna have 4
And they came
guests.
in here and they disrupted our plan. Now they're gonna have 2 topics for today.
Woo!
'Cause they coming in here thinking like they special.
Well, I mean, there's 2 people, so 2 topics.
2 people, 2 topics.
We gotta get rich so we can have a bigger booth.
This is true. We gotta get the bag.
One with AC.
Ooh,
Oh.
shots fired.
Yikes, she said it's too hot.
It's
Because
too
we
hot.
come in with the spice. That's why.
It's 'cause it's
It's all good. Michael, are you going to introduce our guest?
I introduced the last people.
No, you
wrong.
did
said I
not.
literally did.
Yo, you dead ass lying.
Hey, don't y'all love black love?
Anyways,
I'll introduce one person.
I picked Jordan just because I know that's who you wanted to introduce. So
I was
today-
definitely gonna say the person closest to me.
Oh,
Look at
damn,
you,
now I
full of
want
shit.
Kai. I only want the person you like
Because you
didn't
just
want.
anyway. All right. So from the mean streets of Kansas.
Where would they be without her? What's the power song? You should sing that for Kai. Anyway.
If I do the words, I definitely would though. But today we got our good friend Kai in the building. Clap it up. Clap
I
it
know,
up.
insert applause here.
Applause. Go ahead.
Say hello to the people, Kai.
Hey y'all.
There you go. And now we also have Jordan.
Did you see how she didn't hold you down with no intro or nothing?
Wait,
She's
but I
like,
wasn't finished with my intro. I
No,
said
you
we also
wasn't.
have Jordan. I was about to say he's from Flint, Michigan. Fire up chips for you, right?
Relax. It's fire up chips, but I'm with you. You know.
Wait, what's that? What's fire up chips?
That's for the school he went to.
For
Central
real?
Michigan. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that slogan?
Yeah, it's a very
Fire Up
racist
Chips.
one, but yes, they have
See,
one.
that's why I knew it wasn't. It wasn't well intent when it came out.
Oh, does that mean like set the native?
No, it's like. All right.
You're not setting the Native Americans on fire. You should be fired for that.
Fire up chips. So it's like fire up. Let's get some energy. Let's
Oh,
Like,
I was
let's
about to
get
say, if
excited.
y'all was setting Native Americans on fire, I was like, y'all got this getting that off.
I mean, it's a whole indigenous tribe
Okay.
connected to the university. But
Alright,
we're not
cool.
here to talk about Central Michigan.
Okay.
Fire up chips, you know.
But they got the people going.
It gets the people going.
Oh, good.
But we want to thank y'all for coming on. Y'all are literally like our second guest ever, so this is lit. We're excited. I hope you're excited as well. You know, it's weird because like you know people as friends, and you have to be like a different person, like because it's
Nah, you can come on here.
like a little bit because you have to introduce them to people. Like they
Oh, I
can't
see what
see
you're saying.
them, like we see them, like. I know them, they don't know them. So you're like, these are these wonderful people. Woo! But it's like, what's up, my nigga? How you doing?
What if we're not that wonderful though?
We are.
They don't know
Y'all
that.
gonna be great. Y'all gonna be great. Y'all gonna be
See?
great.
Exactly.
Positivity.
Right. All right. So, what was the topics? I don't even know. What was the first one? Go ahead.
Wow. I thought you said too much structure. You said don't plan.
I
This is
didn't,
why
but I forgot what it was. So go ahead.
Okay,
Lead us
okay.
off then.
So
Almighty one.
So for the beginning, we kind of want to kind of introduce you to kind of talk about because we know we all are in the same. Well, not all of us. Nia's not in it, but we were going through the grad program, education program. But we all had the same job in grad school. We all experienced like a lot of pressure to succeed, pressure to fill shoes. You know, one thing about our program was if you come in, it's 100% job there's a 100% chance you're gonna get a job. So there's like this pressure that once you graduate, you have to get a job immediately. Academically, we get pushed really hard. And then we know, and then that's not the only things that we face pressures for in our life at 23, 24, 25. So,
yeah, Jordan's supposed to be getting married soon.
Whoa.
yeah. So that's another one. Like I know for me, it's always just like, so Mike, when you gonna get married?
It's time.
So, either one of you can go first, but like talk about like the pressures or expectations that you faced at this point in your life. And now we're not gonna get into like the solutions yet, but just talk about like some of the pressures.
Solutions? I ain't got no.
Well, ways that you got through it.
All right, there you go.
You know what I mean?
You go
You want me to
first.
start?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think moving like away from home is a big pressure from the first time. So you gotta like deal with the challenge of like being on your own. Knowing like you did something that you was comfortable with, like, you didn't have to go be on your own. It didn't make it like it was a good decision. So even if you like not necessarily comfortable with it or you having some challenges, having to face those and go like find out why you're doing this. Had to face the like the imposter syndrome, as they say, like this is really for me if it's really not.
What was imposter syndrome like for you? Like, what did you think? Oh, maybe I'm not good at this. Maybe I can't do this.
Well, I always had to feel like you can get fired at any point. So,
No, that's a fact, though.
so, like, if somebody can put the dots together, they can find a reason to fire you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So that's a pressure that I always just live with, just because I see people get fired. Not like it's as common as I'm making it seem, but in the same time, I don't feel like I'm that special enough where they was like, oh, we'll keep him, but we won't fire that person.
I think it's interesting. Like one thing, and it's funny. I could actually pick your brain now, so this is good. So,
I know on purpose.
now you got to answer.
I know.
Like you always make jokes about like the firing thing or just like the fear of getting fired. Like, where does that come from? Is that something you saw growing up? Is like financial stability something that you are really like? Is that like your number one thing? Is like what is? Because let's say you do get fired. Like I mean, I always tell people, I mean, what's the worst they could do to me? Fire me?
Right.
So that doesn't bother me that much. So for you, like, where does that like constant? I don't want to say fear, but it kind of seems like, where does that come from?
Well, I mean, I've always been like my parents. They always taught me like about security, like making sure you got something secure before you make another move. So it's like you don't quit a job before you got another job lined up.
That's
so
old.
things like
Listen.
that. So everybody. So not everybody's taught like that, but that's how at least I was raised to do that. And then you have like stuff where like maybe like from Flint, so it's like the GM stuff where the GM plant get closed, and then all of a sudden people look for jobs. Different things.
Oh,
like that,
you
where
do
it's
have
like,
a very different perspective from
so
us, yeah.
You just see people go from like a whole booming city to a city going through gentrification type thing, stuff like that. So, just
That's
coming from
interesting.
that
I never
experience.
thought about that. Yeah.
So.
I mean, like, I guess it all depends on, like, where your background is. Because for me, like, it wasn't getting fired. It was being special enough to get picked, right? Because I'm coming from a family where both of my, like, parents have degrees, right? They've gone to school. They both have masters and things of that nature. So it was less about, like, it was about securing the bag, but it was, like, securing the bag with education and making sure that you've gone and you check the right boxes in order to be that person that's not going to get put to the side. Because it was more of, like, you can secure yourself through education versus securing yourself through, like, a trade job, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with trade jobs. But there was always that pressure of, like, oh, no, she's definitely going to school before I even had a chance to think about if I even wanted to go to school or not. So it was an interesting, you know. Yeah, I feel it's weird. What about you, Kai?
When Jordan talks about imposter syndrome, I just have been in this stage of life where I feel like everything that I'm doing is imposter syndrome, like in my relationship, in my friendships, in my job, like everything. I'm trying to figure out who I am and who I want to be and like let go of the expectations that others might have for me in order to be happy myself. And so I don't know. I'm in the middle of it. I'm in the mess of it.
You're
trying
still
to
in it,
figure
yeah.
out who I am and who I want to be and how I'm going to get there. So it's ongoing.
I remember when I told you at the beginning of this year, I was like, man, the part of all of this that hurts the most is like I thought at this point in my life I would have it together. So I always thought like after all the struggles of high school and all the pain of all the because high school I don't care if anybody ever comes to me and tells me they would go back to high school, I can't relate to you. We clearly didn't we didn't see life the same
You
way.
obviously were having fun.
Yeah, you were one of those people. You know what I mean? So then I think about that. I think about the pain of undergrad. I think about then I even more closely grad school, and I always thought once I get this full-time job and I finish this master's degree and then all this stuff is done, I'm gonna be happy. And then here I am,
Not happy.
not happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, food, clothing, shelter is covered, bank account is full. Like, it's doing everything is what it's. The plan is going according to plan,
Right.
and I'm not happy.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that shit hurt because it was like, damn, what was all that pain for? What was all that working for? It was like, damn, and we ain't even start life yet. I'm 25.
But that's like that adulting is real thing.
Yeah.
Like, you did all this just to be able to be an adult now. So it's like really. all
And what
that
the
work-
fuck is even an adult? To be completely honest,
Yeah, 'cause
like
I still feel like a
my parents, are
Exactly.
yeah, like they still look like they figured it out. Like the older I get, the more I'm like, oh, you were guessing.
Yeah.
You
The
were
whole
guessing.
time.
Yeah, the whole time I was trying to figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it's I hate
Yeah,
that.
I don't know who said it, but somebody said that if you're constantly looking for happiness on the other side of something, you're never gonna get there. And I think that we do that to ourselves. So like,
All the
once
time.
once I graduate college, I'm gonna go to grad school and I'm gonna figure that out, and then I'll be happy. And then you go to grad school, you graduate grad school, and you're like, I'm gonna get that job, and then I'm gonna be happy. You get that job, and then
Yeah,
then
yeah.
I'm gonna get married, and then we're gonna have kids, and we're gonna be happy. Then you get married, and you have kids, and then what?
You
then
die.
I'm gonna get that promotion, and then I'm gonna be happy. And like it just you keep putting yourself in this cycle to be happy later instead of enjoying the moments that you're actually in.
Especially if like those original goals, like even like where the foundation of it, I feel like is if that wasn't yours, then everything
Right.
after that it built upon it is you're not gonna be happy with. So it's like if you plant this seed, right? But it's not your seed; it's like your mom's seed or your significant other seed. Like the tree will still grow, but it's gonna be the wrong colors because it wasn't yours. So it's a strong tree, but like I like blue, and this is a red tree, and now I'm pissed, like because I'm like, these leaves are gonna come in one day, like the fruit on the tree is gonna come one day, but it's not my tree. Or you're looking for an apple tree, and it's what else grows? A pear tree. I don't know. Do pears even grow in trees? So I don't know. Like I definitely feel that, and it's like also like where is it coming from? Is it even like coming from you? I don't know.
Let me ask y'all this. We're at a point in our lives now, right, where we have jobs where we are older than other people. We're not at the bottom anymore. Like when the undergrad, you were pretty much at the bottom of the totem pole. Nobody really looked up to you. Now you're at a point where you supervise people. There's people coming up that are back home that think you're like the coolest thing in the world. Like all this type. You have little cousins, little brothers, like all this type of stuff. How does it feel when you have to put that face on?
It's all fake.
For those, because I'm the youngest. I never had to, like in my family. I never had to, take care of somebody else. I never had to make it seem like everything was okay.
Yeah.
So how does that feel for y'all when y'all have to put that face on at work for the people you supervise, or you have to, that person messages you and they're coming to you for help when your world is burning down? How does that feel for y'all?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's like realizing like at the end of the day, everybody people. So like, the more you keep trying to break down these figures or like these ideas of what people supposed to be, that's what I like doing, because it's like I'm gonna have a bad day some days, I'm gonna have a good day some days. So you just never know. I got a busy schedule. Sometimes I don't have nothing on my plate. So it's like the more, at least like when I'm supervising, it's just to be transparent with like I'm going through it just like you. So you never gonna be prepared
Today is
for
not
what
the
you
day
dealing
for you.
with. So it's like all you gotta do is do what you can do and control what you control in that day. That's kind of how I look at it, where it's like taking it for what it is, not necessarily trying to keep a figure or idea in their head of what's going on.
Oh, so you don't try to uphold that. You don't put the face on. You just
In my head, I don't. But
Yeah.
I know, like, I'll put on a professional voice sometimes, or like I'll switch up from being like having jokes and stuff where I'm like, okay, I got to switch on to like being serious. But it's not necessarily like Jordan shows up to work this way, and when he leaves work, he's a completely different person.
So there's never like those moments when you're like I said, your world is burning down, but you gotta like for this person to make sure they feel okay. I got it together, and
That's real. Yeah,
Okay.
because sometimes, like in our job, some people's lives is in different situations than you are in. So even if you having a bad day, your job tells you need to be this way for this
Yeah.
person. So that's a different thing. I think that's just part of like doing job responsibilities. But in that moment, I try to make sure I'm doing what somebody would do for me. So, but yeah, what you think?
I think it shows up different for me at work versus what it does at home. And I think at home I have to put on that face a little bit more than I do at work. I think in student affairs where we do work, like it's okay to say that you're having a bad day, but you still need to show up and do your work. And so I feel like I can manage that.
depends on what you work. I ain't gonna hold you.
That's true too, yeah.
Yeah,
Depends. Some places they don't care.
That's
but
real. But at home, it's just like this expectation that you figure it out by yourself. And so I can be having a bad day, but I better not show up to the family dinner grumpy, or I can be struggling at work, but I better not talk about it. I need to just figure it out. And so I think that that's really hard to manage. And I'm the only person in my family who has a master's degree, but I still gotta, like, I can't be the one to, like, kind of educate or to, like,
Ooh,
to be
Chile.
that person.
Ooh, I'm sorry, that hit different.
I still can't
Wait,
be
what
that
you
one.
mean?
Because it's like, okay, so and back at home, like, you ever heard the saying, stay in a child's place?
Mm.
So, like, I am legit a quarter of a century or about to be anyway. And it's like, if say like my parents or something like that is to say something, it's like you need to stay in a child's place. And it's like, oh no, I am your child, I'm not the child,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And that's just not even with parents, but that's with like all of, I mean, a lot of my family comes from the South, so they don't play none of those games. Like, it's a yes ma'am, no sir until you die. If they are older than you, it is a yes ma'am,
Yes,
no
ma'am.
sir. You will be 80 years old and you, ma'am, when they call you. And it's like, I understand how you feel, because it's like, I deserve a certain level of something, but I can't, because I can't advocate for it because of like the situation or like how my, you know, like my family operates or my work job, like you said, for some places who really don't give a fuck about that. Like, you know, it's hard to do that because you're classified as something, and you can't break that mold. Almost, it's almost impossible to break that.
And
It's
it
funny-
almost
oh, go
sucks
ahead, go.
because, like, the expectation is put on you, and then you do it, and it doesn't. I don't
Doesn't
know if
mean
you feel
anything.
the same. It feels like it doesn't mean anything because you did it, and you are still being treated the same as before you did it. So it's like,
It's
what do
funny
you do
how
with
that. It's funny how that all connects, because you said like you go home, and nothing changes. Oh, you're still this You're still the person that was 15 or something like that. So that at this place, in this very intimate part of the intimate world, the people whose opinion you care about, they see you as this kid. So then when you go out into the quote unquote real world, where you actually have to show up and do your job, you're still internalized how they make you feel. So then it feels weird when you gotta,
Assert yourself.
and you're just like, but then, but in my mind, I feel like I'm a kid
Right.
because they told me I'm a kid. So it's like you're these two completely different worlds, and it's like, damn, like you get. Like I said, it's someone you got put on the face because it's not the same person.
See, so like what I'm thinking about is like how a piece of paper is supposed to change a person. And it's like, that's not true. So like, just because you went through something I didn't do, or like you doing something that somebody else didn't want to do, then it's like, why should you be more, your opinion should be more valid than somebody else? So somebody could have went through, like, let's say go to the military instead of going to college. Their life experience is going to be different than yours, right? But that doesn't make theirs invalid because they didn't come back with a degree, right? Or different things like that where they put the power on stuff you getting that's not necessarily making you a better person. It's just something that you did that somebody else didn't do. So,
But that still shapes and informs your experience and the life that you live and the opinions and perception that you have on the world. And so
Yeah.
that should be valid too, regardless of if I chose to get a degree
Or not.
versus going
Yeah.
to the military.
Yeah.
this is true.
It just sucks because it's like, I think you get caught in a space where it's like, which one like solidifies my position in the world, and like when you're combating how you want to solidify yourself versus what's expected of you versus what society is forcing you to do, and like all of these different moving parts, it's like, how am I still Nia? Like, how do I solidify myself as Nia, right? And for me, education is everything. Like I always say, they can't take your mind. They can take your body, but not your mind. So for me, this is like halfway of how I solidify it, but at the same time, like sometimes I want to rebel because it's like it was predetermined for me at the same exact time. So it's like, is it really me or is it them? And like, who is this person? And I,
Choices.
yeah, it'll be another 25 years before I figure it out. So it's all
It's
all
like the
good.
drawing board.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know, it's like it's weird because like I like to rebel and my parents know it. I moved all the way to Kansas just to spite and be like, you know, I am who I am now, but at the same time, like you go home, it's the same type of thing. So that's tough. Ooh, sorry. Something like caught in my throat and it's making one eye tear up, and so now I feel very.
Nah, they
strange.
just got real sentimental. You can admit that.
No, listen, I'm a crier, so I will admit when I'm crying, but it's weird. It's only coming out of one eye, y'all. I'm sorry. Keep going. Oh, man. But yeah.
So, you said relationships. So I don't know. Like, I've never. Like when I was just thinking, like
Don't lie.
I've never ever heard someone bring up imposter syndrome in the context of relationships. Have either of y'all two?
Hell yeah.
Really? You want to talk about that?
Yeah. Because, like, when you first meet someone, it's all rose-colored glasses. Like, everything about that person, like, and we both do it to each other. Not saying we, but people, whoever's in a relationship, you do it to each other. You paint a picture of what you perceive this person to be versus what they are, which is why a lot of like old people will say like, oh, give it time, honey, and then you'll learn all about him or, you know, all about her, whatever the case may be. Because when you first meet each other, you're putting your best selves out there. And then sometimes what happens is you get stuck in what that person believed you to be versus like who you actually are, right? So you might think I'm this well-organized, great, like logical person, and I don't clean up a damn thing in my house. So it's like now every time you come over, I'm trying to throw the laundry in the right place. I'm trying to clean up, but that's not me. Like, and I'm not speaking, that's literally not me because I don't like a dirty house. But I'm saying for people like, you know, in a shallow sense, that could be, you know, something that makes you feel like you're not yourself, or I can't be as emotional as I want to be because, you know, he doesn't want an emotional person. I came off as a strong, independent woman when we got together, but I want to be vulnerable with him and I can't, or, you know, things of that nature. So it's like sometimes you do have to put this face on even with your significant other because they're expecting things of you, or like you said before, for work. I have to show up this way because I know you would do it for me. So my life is shit. But your life is also shit, and I have to be here for you because you would be here for me. But that's imposter syndrome because that's not who I am right now, and that's not how I want to show up. And yet I have to because for the greater good of, you know, whatever. So that's me.
It sounds like remember when I used to always tell you I always wanted to be like the Superman, like the hero in a relationship, because like there's like a pressure like when you're a man, like Joel, you could probably like relate to this, like you gotta provide, you gotta you gotta
No, you have to provide.
You gotta provide. If there's an issue, you gotta be the one to fix it. Like somebody come at your girl wild, you gotta be the one to fight the person. Like it's all these things that men are supposed to do. Not to minimize what women do on their side of the relationship, but we have our pressures as well. And like it's like, what if that don't line up with who you are as a person? Like, what if you're not a fighter?
Exactly.
What
Then
if
you
you're
just
not?
gotta go take this L because
Now you got to get beat up.
They gonna get your ass whooped just because
She's like, fight him. You're like,
he's gonna fight you right now.
I'm calling him
my
right
boyfriend
now.
coming right.
Get in the car. Get in the car.
I'd be like, sir, I'm sorry for your time. Can I write you a check for your grievances?
And like, or I also think about like, what if, because like society says, okay, we gotta, you know, provide, we have to do all these things.
Yeah.
What if you're a man that believes like, nah, like, I believe it should be equal.
Right. And I feel like that's what's tough nowadays because you have the dynamic of the time of women that we living in right now, like where women is.
Oh, it's their show now.
It's definitely their show right
Oh.
now.
Hi, I'm sorry. When did that happen?
Listen, I mean, at least that's what the media is pushing to me. Or that's how I feel about it. So it's like the structures that we used to know or like grew up believing that this is how things supposed to go. That's like being torn down right now. So it's like, as a man, you have to find out what you really trying to do, and then like if that's still what you believe in, or like you like the ideas of what you grew up on, it's always gonna be a woman for you. But it's like, is that the woman that you with? You know what I mean? So try to find a match that match to what you're looking for. So like, let's say I want to be a stay-at-home dad, so I got to look for a different woman than what society told me I should be looking for. Where I should be looking for a housewife or somebody who.
And you are for the rest of your life going to be ridiculed for that, and you are going to be killed for that. You know what I mean?
But maybe I get praised by the women community over here. That's like, nah.
I fuck with stay-at-home dads. They are mad lit.
Okay.
Stay-at-home dads are like really, I mean, like the true, like pure, I want to like teach my kids, hang out with my kids, like enrich my kids. Not the motherfuckers who like sit there and watch TV
Not
and
Jody,
be like,
not Jody from Baby Boy.
because there's some men who like when they watching their kids, right? They watch them by watching TV, and then if something gets too quiet, what y'all doing in there? That's not watching your kids, but like take like what y'all broke in here? That you fucked up. They've already broken all the stuff. Like I'm talking about, you know, fathers who like take their kids to the park. They're reading to them. They're like enriching them in different ways and like legit cooking for them, not cereal. Like, you
shout
can't
out.
have eat. Because Jordan said,
Why you had to do
Jordan said he would feed the kids cereal every day, and
Hey,
you just
which
cannot.
one you want?
You can't give them
options.
sugar
You got
every
options,
morning.
man.
Sometimes you gotta cook. You gotta eat these
Yeah,
eggs.
You get some
Little
toast with it. Go ahead, spice it up. You know. Put some
toast
nice
with
little-
the cereal.
Yeah. you
That's
know.
nasty.
What?
That's
That's
nasty.
a balanced breakfast.
She told me a bagel with butter and cereal is not okay.
You saw what happened?
A bagel with butter and
Every
cereal.
day.
Every single day
Not
for your
every- I said
child?
we
That's
spice
not
it
very
up.
enriching.
So they might get Raisin Bran Crunch. We might, give
Honey
them
Nut
to
Cheerios?
Raisin Bran
Isn't
Crunch.
Honey Nut Cheerios give you everything you need in the day? Which cereal
No,
is that?
it does not.
That
What are you
they-
Like, help
eating?
your cholesterol and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, but what about
But you
fiber?
can't-
They're
we know
five.
Who
What
doesn't
co-
need to be
yeah.
stay-at-home dad.
Exactly.
Which y'all
They're
want,
five.
bacon?
What cholesterol? There's none yet. Their whole bodies haven't even formed yet. They don't have high
but realistically,
cholesterol.
they could probably just live off sugar though, because this is like if you break down, everything is sugar.
So for the women that listen to this podcast, Jordan is looking for a very independent woman. That's exactly what he's looking for. Any takers, let us know. Comment below. But anyway.
That I was but what we were talking about before about like the expectations like men have, like I found myself thinking like, man, like you talked about the change of the guard with it's the women's show now and things are changing, women are becoming more independent, more outspoken, things like that. And it's like, okay, so here's how I was raised for the past 20, 22, 23 years, right?
So this
Here's
is
what's
our
happening now.
foundation.
So how do I be an ally and support this like the independent woman, the powerful woman, all these things, but at the same time, those same independent women are looking for me to be that to fill those same very like traditional male patriarchal roles.
We
So
want you
it's
to
like-
read our minds. Do both. No.
okay, I just want to make sure that we're
Bet.
Bet. So nothing's changed.
I want you to know and not know all at
Okay,
once.
cool. But for real though, like talk to from the women's perspective. Have y'all considered that, like how it can be uncomfortable for men to have to support women in their independence and their things like that, but at the same time still fill those patriarchal roles and in the way society pressures them and things like that. Like there's some men who will clown their other male friends for staying with the kids for the weekend. Or
Nigga, them kids.
you know what I
They're
mean?
your kids.
I've had people that legit be like, "You on the phone with your girl for an hour?" And I'm like, yeah. And like, so it's just like, for the women in the room, like, how have y'all thought about that at all? Is that something that y'all ever considered?
Well, I'm busy trying to figure out my own shit. So no, I haven't thought about it. But I mean, honestly, on the reverse side, I feel that exact same way of like, how do I support my man as his woman and like be all of the things that I need to be for him so he can be successful. But at the same time, like if I'm drowning, like where's my support? Where is that at? And so, I mean, I think that's a deeper conversation that within each relationship needs to be had. But like I think it is absolutely on both sides. Like how do you be who you want to be in a relationship and assert your independence regardless of what role you're filling, and then also still support the other person.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, and I know it's probably not something that really helps a whole lot, but I agree. Like that's a conversation you have to have. Like this is how I show up when I'm not feeling well. This is how I show up when I don't need I just need your support, not necessarily you doing it for me. Or this is how I feel like men should show up in this space for me. If you would like to be with me, this is like what I would like, right? And obviously, this person cannot fulfill every single thing because that's not realistic. Because you're not going to fulfill every single thing. But understanding that this is what my view of a man is. Like my view of a man is not necessarily someone who can pay for everything, right? That's not my definition of a man. However, I do feel like a definition of a man is to be like confident in yourself. You know what I mean? Like confident in like who you're with or what you're doing, and you know what I mean. But
Can I cut you off really quick?
But
Can I cut you off really quick?
I mean no, but yeah,
Twice.
Okay, cool.
you did. No, go ahead. What's your question?
I don't want to get canceled now.
Oh my god. No, but what I'm saying is like being man to me is being kind, right? Being able to be, when I say confident, I mean like in a sense where if you got to go get shit done, yeah, it's muted. When you got to go get shit done, it gets done, right? But you're also very gentle. Like you're not somebody who's arrogant. You're not somebody who's going to step over like, the common worker or whatever the case may be. Like that's being a man in my, eyes. Plus or, give or take a couple things, but it's not necessarily always tied to like the traditional things. And when it is, I let you know and why I feel that way. So,
because the reason why I was saying let me jump in is how confident, because confidence can easily be arrogance. There's a very thin line between confidence and arrogance. So I could be confident and be like, I'm a man and I believe what I believe in and I'm a support. And that could easily be misconstrued to he's arrogant, he don't listen to nothing I say, or he don't never change his mind or anything like that. So it's like it's really hard for us to walk that line and try to stay on the right side of it.
Yeah. Sorry to cut you off, but
it's all good. It's all good, King. I completely understand.
It's all good,
Yeah.
King.
It's completely
so
understand.
it's also like how do you show up outside, like when you're in public as a person, it's different than how you show up in the relationship. So it's like what do
That's facts.
people perceive you in the relationship and versus what you actually are, and then how does that carry over into how you can, like, the conversation within your relationship. So, like, are you commenting on how I show up in public or how you show up in our actual relationship? So, like, it could be a problem with one thing or the other thing, but it's, like, all about the perception of what you're looking for. So,
But that's, like, the conversation that we're having. Like, why do you have to be different in separate spaces if you're being your authentic self? Like,
With me, right?
Right.
Because I have
Okay,
And
but
that's, it's
so,
not
like,
to
as a-
argue, but, like,
right,
if we're
right.
talking about being authentic, our authentic selves, like, that should be the same person regardless of where we are.
nah.
It can't be.
So, like, as a man, right? Sorry to be speaking for all men, but it's like, as a man, can you just be like, phone, like late night phone conversation in the middle of the day? Can you have that same behavior?
Wait, with who? It depends. Who we
just-
talking to?
So, like, can you talk to
We.
your girl
in
or
public
your
the same way
partner
that you would.
on the phone?
Well, like, I don't know because, I mean, I don't know because the way me and Michael talk to each other, it don't really vary much. Like, the way we argue right here on this podcast is pretty much where we are everywhere. But that I understand what you are saying. There are some people who feel like they have to be a little different, but the way, like, Kai said, like, we kind of shouldn't have to be, like, to a certain extent. Like, if we're at work, you probably shouldn't be like, yeah, I'm going to wild out later on tonight. That's probably not the time. However, like, if we're around friends, I don't really expect you to, I personally don't expect you to switch up, like, crazy. You know what I mean? Like, if it's small, subtle things because you would prefer me not to say or do certain things in front of certain people, that's one thing versus, like, you're a different person. I'd be like, whoa.
I think about people whose jobs require them to have a certain demeanor. So, like, let's say Nia was a lawyer, right? In a probably all-male firm, right? And she's fighting to make sure that she's heard, respected, all things like that. I'm probably not going to come up there with flowers and be like, hey, baby, how are you? Let's try to make jokes and, like, get into that softer side of her because she doesn't need those other people who probably already don't respect her because of her gender to see that side of her. And that might be a conversation that we have, like, hey, like, well, you know what? Just, like, let me be this person at work.
Right.
So that's why I said, like, in a perfect world, yes, we would be our same.
But that's not what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Intimacy and your relationship in private can be that. But what I'm saying is I don't need you to switch up because you're hanging out with your boys and you can't pick up my phone call.
Right.
That's
Like,
That's a
going
bit-
back
that's
to,
a
like,
whole
the,
different-
oh,
that's
you're on the
different.
phone for all night or for an hour, and they're like, oh, you're like, I can't pick up because the boys are here. Fuck them boys. Like, pick up my phone. You know what I mean? Like, you would pick it up any other time. Pick it up when, you know what I mean? Like, don't pick and choose when you want to be the person that I decided to be with. You have to all the time be that. So, like, if, like you said, we're having a conversation because I have to show up at work a certain way, then that's fine because we've had that conversation. You understand where I'm coming from versus, like, you pulling the okie doke on me and you like, man, fuck bitches.
Right.
You wasn't saying that on my voicemail 2 minutes ago. Like, don't be that person.
I'm in support of the women's movement, I believe.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
like, don't get your shit off there and then act like different and then come back here and then you expect me to be like, but why aren't you soft with me? Like, no. I expect you to be that way because that's who I decided to be with. So it's like, you know, is that what you're trying to say?
No, that's
okay.
exactly what I'm saying.
So I was like, no, fuck that.
So, on the topic of relationships, you brought up before we started, I think it was T.I. you said?
Oh yeah, so like on T.I.'s episode, technically this will be a few weeks by the time this airs. So a couple weeks ago, him and his wife, they were on his podcast called Expeditiously. I wish I was country enough to really say it the way he says it, but the little clip basically was saying that she was told not to marry for love and to marry basically for her survival, I guess is the best way to, like, you know, wrap that
Make a
up.
business decision.
Yeah.
It is like, and basically, like, you know, you got to marry to make sure the man is good, make sure he can take care of you, make sure, I mean, all those literally the ones we just talked about.
Got to do?
Quite fucking
Got to
literally
do it.
about it. So that's, I believe, to sum that up, what that quip was talking about for her, and particularly her husband, which would make a lot of sense seeing the ups and downs that they've been through as a unit.
So I guess we can start with y'all. Like, what are y'all's thoughts on that? On just not marrying.
I wish y'all could see our faces.
I know. I should have been recording.
Yeah, but like my thought came up. I think Gucci Man said the same thing. Like a while ago, he was like saying like
Love
you
Gucci.
don't. He was like you don't marry when you broke, because then y'all just gonna be two broke people that's unhappy. Versus like getting money together, then you gonna be happy. Like when you got money, everything's supposed to be good. So that's the initial thoughts. But like in my head, I feel like to a certain degree, marriage is a business deal because you signing paperwork that comes into like the whole.
It changes a whole lot of things for taxes. It takes a lot. It changes a whole lot of
I
stuff.
mean, it's almost a money bag though, because like if it's real, it's real. But like at the same time,
I'm trying to marry Nia so I can become a citizen.
Stop playing. I keep telling you stop playing like that, because people are gonna think you're for real, and I am too. That I'm gonna be tight. And I'm gonna tell those people on you. Like we break up, I'm dead ass snitching. Like, like he even supposed to be here. Like all of that. No, you got me fucked up.
But, yeah, God, did you have anything you want to say about it?
I truly
Kai's
don't
in
know how I
love.
feel 'cause-
Listen.
Okay, yes. But also love doesn't pay the bills. So am I gonna So but it
well, okay. So
ahead.
my initial thought is like, what are you getting married for? Because
Oh, that's really
because if you don't have that reason in mind, then I feel like you just I don't know, like you just out here.
I've seen like a bunch of like relationships. Like you get your thought together. I'll ramble into.
You're gonna
Okay.
get everybody
But
upset.
I guess I've seen a bunch of relationships stay together for reasons that don't, like, I guess, line up with liking or loving your partner, and I've seen that not work.
Right.
So I feel like when I think of it, I think of I would like to love this person. Like that's the reason why I'm getting married, because
That's
I
the
love
core.
them, right? And like I'm willing to be with you through all the shifts and changes that will come in life, and with you as a person, and hopefully you're down to do that shit for me as well. You know what I mean? Like, because I've just seen people say, well, we got married because we were pregnant. That shit don't work. I've seen people say like, oh, he's had a good job. That shit don't work. You know what I mean? Like, so I've seen so many different reasons for why people get married that don't tie to love. And not to say that when it is tied to love, it always works out, because obviously not. But I feel like if that's not at least the foundational core, like the foundation reason, then it kind of it kind of fucks up everything else. It doesn't really, it won't last as long, or it won't be as strong, because like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. All the people that I know are still together, even though they look like they hate each other, like, it was love was the reason why they got together. It wasn't the citizenship. It wasn't it wasn't the money. It wasn't the this. It was because they loved each other, and then they worked all the other shit out afterwards.
I feel like we've tied our emotion of love with liking somebody all the time, and my dad used to say, I love you always, but I don't like you all the time, and like that's real in any relationship that you have. And so
I don't even like myself all the time.
when you're having like money troubles, when your kids are acting up, like when all that shit is going down in your marriage or in your relationship, you might not like how the other person is acting in that moment, and that's like when marriages start to fall apart, and you can still love that person. So yes, it needs to be the core value, but like, where are you lining up on all those other things too? Because those will come into play, and you won't like that other person in those
People
moments.
think like once you get married, it's supposed to be like this fairy tale. It's supposed to be perfect, or like when you decide to be married, it's because it's perfect, and it's like, ooh, child, like that ain't.
Life is coming.
Yeah,
and it's not already
is.
here.
Yeah, and it's not gonna be perfect. And if your relationship was perfect all the way up until the time you got married, you got a lot of things coming your way. Like, because I'm not here to be with you because it is like. Obviously, yes, it is this amazing thing, but also because I want to defeat life with you. Like, I want to go through this and, like, be with you doing that versus, like, oh, my God, we just always have fun together. And it's like, okay, so who's paying the Hulu bill this month? Because I paid last time and I'm over it. Like, it's like, but I want to be able to have those, those arguments, like, with, like, that person versus,
I think, so you said before, like, well, why are you getting married, right? And then I immediately thought to myself, I was like, well, if we love each other beforehand, right, we get married, what changes? Because you always say, like, I need the ring, we need the ring, we need the ring. What changes?
First of all, calm down.
No, but, like, we need the ring.
It's not the ring. I want the paper, too. No.
Okay. So, on y'all, and it is a business. It has nothing to do with love.
What are you
Because
talking
we already
about?
love each other. So why are we getting married?
Because there are things moving forward in life that I would prefer to do that, like, physically tie. Shut up, Jordan. Physically, like, ties it together personally for me. Like, I would prefer to have my kids grow up. They all have the same last name. Like, I come from a family where my sisters and brothers, like, we do not share the same last name. And that's frustrating to me, like, especially when it comes down to I have to go to the doctor or my sister has to go to the doctor. I have to prove that I'm their sister. I can only imagine what that's like moving forward, and that's my kid. Or, like, one time my mom went to take me and my friends to the movies, and because there was a fight at the movies a week ago, like, you had to, or the week before, you had to show, like, ID and show that was your kid. And and I was like, that's fucked up. Me and my mom don't share the same last name. And it became, like, this whole big thing because they're like, well, you're just an adult trying to take this kid in and, you know, with these kids and let them roam free and whatever. And I'm like, that's my mom. You know what I mean? Like, we look alike and all this other stuff. But it's just things that I think about from my own experiences that I don't want my kids to have to go through. I don't necessarily want to have to go through the whole war with court. If something happens to you, I should be able to say, like, he's living. Like, no, you're not going to kill him, or, you know what I mean?
You don't have to testify.
Or anything like that. Like, it's more of, like, looking out.
That's a big one. That's a big one.
I can't testify, not what. But, like, it's more than making sure that, like, together we're straight. Like, if we're living together and our taxes are right, you know what I mean? Like, it's all for, like, the long haul, in my opinion. Because, yes, obviously we love each other, but one of my grandparents, like, I call her my grandmother, but technically, like, she never married my grandfather. And, like, there were so many technicalities that went into it when he got sick. And it was like, so who decides to pull the plug? It falls on my dad. It doesn't fall on her. But that's the person she spent the last 40-something years with. Mm-hmm. She has the right, you know what I mean, to be like, yes or no, or maybe so, whatever, like that. So I always think of it in a, like, my mother, when I moved up here, she was like, you and Michael need to be married because if something happens to you, I need him to be able, you know, to say A, B, and C. I can't get there in a day, you know what I mean? So it makes sense for me to be like, I need that ring before I push out your child. I need that ring before, you know, so I can make sure that we're straight. That's my personal, but...
That sounds like business. It sounds like business decision to me. So that's why I say love has nothing to do with it.
But it's because I love you, and not because I love the... It is because of love. Like, that's the reason why I want us to be straight, because I love you.
Okay, but, like, your reasonings sound like they have financial stipulations behind it.
But it's not a financial one. It's more
just
like
negotiating. And what I'm getting at is this. When I say it's not about love, is because if it was love would overpower all that. Love would overpower any of those fears. Love would overpower.
Love doesn't overpower the law, though.
So, that's my point exactly.
But that's not But I'm not doing it because. Yeah, that's not because of me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's because the law is telling me that, like, if we're not, then I can't do A, B, and C for you. Mm-hmm. And I.
So you say you can't love to the level you would like to because you're not in a marriage.
Basically, like,
you can't impose your will the way that you want to.
Exactly. Like, honestly, if it comes down to it, I want to be able to be, and this is vice versa. I want you to be able to, you know, like, make those,
Nothing.
Shut up. I would want that person to make those decisions on behalf of me because you would know more than my mom. I don't lay at bed at night and, you know, pillow talk with my mom. She's probably going to have an idea, but she's also probably going to feel some type of way and not really, like, carry my wishes out because of whatever. You would know that, but you can't do that if we don't have this piece of paper. Like, and I'm a Christian, and God said, y'all need to be married.
And with all of those things is, like, a level of trust that only comes with the intimacy that you have with love. And so that commitment, I mean, that it has to be made legally. Like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But what about an arranged marriage, though?
What are you talking about? What about it?
So, like, are you trusting your parents to arrange a good marriage for you?
They don't trust anything. That's part of their culture. They have
culture,
to.
But okay, all right, I'm going to leave it alone. Because I don't got the information to dive deep into the arranged marriage. But, I mean, because they still married. They still be rocking out, you know. They do what they do. But it's like, I don't think love is the start, but they get to love, theoretically.
They do.
So I was saying, like getting married is about how can that improve our situation, which is a business decision.
Because it's like combine the families too.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is like marriage has nothing to do with love, because if it was all just about love, then we're fine. We already love each other.
But like,
if it wasn't about it, we would just marry somebody for what they have.
Yeah, like,
that's
and
not what's happening either.
Yeah, I'm not out here marrying a billionaire for the simple fact that he's a billionaire. There are people who do that.
Yeah,
like,
but when you first met me, what did you always that joke you always made, but it was always true.
Which part
This
of
nigga
it?
got a good credit score. I'm sticking with him.
Hell yeah, because I had somebody right before you who didn't, and I remember that shit was
Exactly.
tough.
So it's not only about what you like about a person. You also
No,
gotta say,
but
how can
when-
this? Is our trajectory the same? Are we going in the same direction?
But what
Like,
I'm saying,
let's say you got 100,000 in student debt. I gotta pick that up if we get married. But if you pay it off first, though, then we can. Like,
and that's a conversation you have to ask. But you asked me personally, why do I want to do those things? And from my personal experience, I've seen the worst part of it when you're not married, and that's my biggest fear is what happens when something goes wrong. I can't take care of my loved one, and it's not just about when you're dying. It's also about after death. It's in who's like what treatment if he's in a coma. How do I, who's going to give that, we should do this versus that, because you aren't allowed to make that decision anymore. One of us have to make it, and it's going to fall on your significant other on paper. They will never default because you're his girlfriend. They're going to be like, legally, we cannot let you make this decision. It lies on the parent. Like, if something happens to my mom right now, technically, she's not divorced. It's going to fall on my stepfather. God, I pray to God. They are no longer together, so God knows. He's probably like, yeah, pull that shit. And then that's a problem for me. You know what I mean? But in the opposite sense, like, I've also seen it where, like, my grandmother had to default to my father because he was the oldest child. And so he's the next of kin. And that's what they're always going to look for. Who's the next of kin? So for me, it's always about my family being straight. I need to make sure we're good as a unit, no matter what, moving forward. And the law can't tell me anything about my significant other. You know what I mean?
Okay, cool. So I think, yeah, we're getting about to that time. There's one last question I want to ask.
Ask them.
I know. I can't ask Kai because she's already in a relationship, so Jordan the full.
You can't ask her.
But the question you're going to see when I ask is like, she's
Okay, Kai answers second then.
Okay, cool. So Nia and I had this conversation once. Remember when I was talking about trajectory.
mm-hmm.
Would y'all be able to date someone who's not college educated?
Oh,
I struggle with this. Like,
yeah.
As I said,
so initially,
All right, so boom, right?
so it's like, okay, that puts me like in my head automatically in the supporter role.
Ooh,
right? Unless you like an
that's a
independent,
bag.
that's like unless you like an independent business owner, you got your stuff in order. But I feel like
So you could be a stay-at-home dad, but she can't. No, I'm joking.
But actually,
no, I'm joking. But
hey,
like,
if she got it like that, she got it like that. But it's like in my head, like what you doing to like secure yourself already? So if you got a secure job and you didn't get a college education, I'm curious what you doing, right?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Would somebody from Flint hear you say that, look at you, say, "Oh, this nigga got uppity"?
No.
Kai could definitely answer this question too. Just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean that you can't answer that.
Okay. I was more wanting to ask him because I never got to ask a male.
Oh,
But
I mean,
okay.
yeah, that's
But yeah,
true.
I mean, it's like, so I'm just curious what you're doing to like make sure you straight, regardless if you was in a relationship or not. Because I feel like I don't want a woman who needs to be in a relationship to like determine her life. So that's like a personal thing.
To answer that, Kai, you're gonna say something. I'll let you go in a second. The reason why I brought up like with somebody looking at you from back home say that is because education does put us into a different level.
Does put you in a different category. Yeah.
And I know people who see us with degrees, multiple degrees, they kind of see if it's kind of like that, oh, that nigga thinks he's better than all of us. That person thinks they're better than all of us. And it kind of does change your mindset because you immediately, your first thought, like you said, was, I'm out to be a supporter because I have a degree. You didn't say about a job. Like we said before, paper don't get you a job.
Right.
So then...
But I know I'm gonna be straight regardless. That's how I look. So I'm gonna be straight regardless. So it's like, is you gonna
It
match
is a
me
blanket
or,
of a level of security. Like,
yeah. For
at
me.
this point, you gotta have a bachelor's to even do anything.
Worst case scenario, I could get a job. Like I don't know how, but I could.
Yeah. So I know I'm gonna be straight, at least for me to you know. So if I'm adding another person to my life, I need to know that they straight too, because I'm not picking up no extra weight just because of so-called love.
So-called.
It's love, but like going back to how like it's a business decision basically. So it's like that's how I thought about it. It's like, so if you got your stuff together, I don't see why I wouldn't. But it's like at the end of the day, it's still gonna come back to like, I don't know. It's gonna be like a financial decision at the end of the day.
Kai, you gonna say something?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I was pretty much like in the same boat because I've dated someone who like left school. He like left school, but he was like working, but it wasn't like working towards something, if that made sense. And that was like my biggest, like, what are your aspirations? Like, you can get a trade job, find a trade that you really like. You could do that. You could, you know what I mean? Like, be an entrepreneur. Like, is there something you're motivated about that gets you up to go to work? Because I'm motivated about this degree, and that's why I show up to work every day.
Yeah.
Like, what is it that motivates you? And I think that's what it is. Like, back to going to what I believe a man is supposed to be, right? I believe he's supposed to be a go-getter, and that doesn't necessarily translate into dollar signs. However, like, if you're passionate, like, if you're an activist, like, fuck it, like, you gonna do that. That's not always brings in the big bucks, but if that's getting you out of bed and going, like, I shouldn't be leaving you in bed. I come home and you in bed. Like, that was always like my personal, because I've seen both sides of it, and I was like, ooh, I feel like I would prefer someone with a degree, like you said. So I know you straight. I know you out here trying to get something. However, if not, then that aspect has to be with it. Or I'm not I would say I wouldn't fuck with it if there's no motivation, like you really out here trying, like,
But
about that life.
There's also trash people with degrees too.
There are very trash people with,
That's the
Yeah.
That's
counter
true.
argument. It's like, at the same time, just because you got a degree don't make you.
There's always exception to the rule.
Yeah. So
And I wouldn't take that nigga either. I wouldn't. I really wouldn't.
All right, well, that concludes our episode. We really appreciate y'all coming out, sharing your opinions, and just answering our questions and
I
humoring us.
know. And don't forget, it's not whining if you have wine. Michael made that up. It's so cute. All right, y'all. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that jazz, so we can get the bag one day. 'Cause, we broke out here, but
And make bad
can I
decisions
sign
with
my
it.
rights away, or do I gotta can I get them back before y'all get popping so I can get
what type of rights? Like, what you
I
want?
mean,
What you looking for?
This episode can't air without my permission.
I'm just saying, you get like 2% because
Oh, nah, we taking a road.
you're
trip,
on like
everything you
one.
get.
You're on one episode.
We will
I'm
split
saying
10.
10. Oh, you will
We
split
get
10%
Yeah.
of just this episode, whatever it makes. You can't get 10% of the business
I'm gonna
unless
have my
you're like,
peoples talk to your peoples and then.
I bet.
Bet.
All right, y'all. We out of here. Sheesh.